Hey
Cool.
James, hey Grant. Thanks for joining us. We just wanted to call you guys and check up on how you guys are doing over there in the UK.
Yeah, good to see you guys again, and yeah, keeping busy with the old coronavirus is playing fun around here, but no, we're keeping busy and cracking on with Quantum. There's the delay in filming obviously gives us a bit more time to do something a bit more epic, hopefully.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing before the actual ship date? Are you guys like rebuilding Quantum, or are you just making?
We always rebuild. We'll show you what we've built before. People think that we build stuff and then just tweak it, but pretty much every event we start from scratch. So that's season 1 Spectre. That one is my favourite one because we won the KOB World Championships with that one. This one's embarrassment Spectre because we didn't win anything with that one. That one's that's like the child that we don't want to talk about.
Is that KOB also the second one?
Yes. Yeah. Then you got Quantum. That's fresh back from BattleBots, obviously. Stripped all the insides out just to use some of them and give it a test. But it's almost that chassis is pretty much good to go, other than the damage that you could see from Valkyrie that was on the front there. They nargulated that, but yeah, you could sort of see that this machine will obviously won't get used again now. That'll just go on display here, and then every single element of it gets sort of. We have a sit down, we look at it, look back through performances and go, what worked, what didn't work, and everything. So all this stuff, none of that's even used anymore. That's there's loads of work gone into that. Obviously, the latest Spectre, so that's the latest incarnation of our Crusher. But again, it's completely different, the new Quantum to this. So yeah, it's always a big evolution of designing, analysing it, working out what went wrong, working out what's good, and seeing how we can sort of take it the next step.
But in sort of answer to your question of how we're getting on before the ship date, I'd say about 3-4 days before it was shipping, we had, I'd say most of the design was done.
Yeah.
None of the machining was done. We had all the material. We've got a pallets full of aluminium billets downstairs in the factory, all ready to go on the mill. So as normal, what we tend to do is ship all the tools, all the spares, all the electronic components and everything, motors, ship all that stuff out and anything heavy, and then we bring a load of suitcases with the parts we've actually finished on the plane with us to go. So we're always sort of last minute builders.
So you do most of the assembly at the tournament then, right?
Yes, yeah. The first time it ever moves is usually its first battle or the tech check.
But if you're prepared like a month before it needs to ship, then you haven't done a good enough job because it's just that there in the box.
Right.
Like now that BattleBots has moved back, pretty much everything starts from scratch again now. So, we've got that time, we can do a much better job. So the robot that would have gone to BattleBots now won't, and it'll get redone. Everything will.
So you guys are going to actually look at the design entirely again and potentially make a bunch of changes?
Oh yeah, massive fun to see. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where you look at something and go, oh, that could be a bit better, and it has a knock-on effect. And then all of a sudden, you've just started from scratch, and you go, oh, right, let's just start again.
The main thing is we had all the titanium side armor. We've already had that cut and folded. We'll probably leave that, make some additions to go on. But all the Hardox and Armox front armor, that's at the laser cutters at the moment. The material is, but we've just told them to stop all work on it, on cutting it, and we'll revisit that in another few weeks once we've had a chance to redesign it again. So yeah, for us, it's just sort of a constantly evolving thing.
So how much of the robot do you guys actually machine yourselves versus outsourcing?
Everything except for laser cutting.
Okay.
Absolutely everything is done here. The problem is we're so busy with other projects that the robots take up sort of we just don't have much time for them in the day, so we're just sort of trying to get those running and things. By the time we've designed it, sent it off to someone to get made. If it's not perfect, then it needs to get remade again. and you can add like sort of 4 weeks, 6 weeks lead time by getting another company to machine something. So we could design something and have it machined the next day, especially when it starts coming up to build deadlines. James will be in the office designing parts, and I'm down on the CNC making them and camming them up while it's on the machine. So we don't leave much time.
So is it easier for you to work on the robots now during the quarantine? Like, is your job keeping you busy?
Well, we're not sure yet. So literally in about, I think, 20 minutes time, the Prime Minister's coming on to tell us what we can and can't do. There's a fairly major statement going out then, and we think that'll be a full lockdown. So we'll take our computers back home if that's the case, do more design work, but actual being able to make anything, I don't think we can do any of that. But again, that's not the end of the world.
Most of the time's in the designing, isn't it? Really, we spend probably 80% of the time just fettling, designing, working out how we can then make that part better, and then the last bit's the frantic. Damn, get it on the machine, quick, get it cut. then at least we know that whatever comes out the crate at BattleBots is the best of our work. Then it's the best of our ability in the time frame. There's nothing where we go, oh, I wish we'd done a bit better job on that or whatever. That's whether it's good or not is another thing. But at least that's the best of our ability at the time. So yeah.
So how is Robo Challenge? Has that been affected at all as far as like any active projects you guys might have?
Yeah, we're working on. I think it's the world's biggest kinetic sculpture. It's got 810
balls.
Yeah, 810 motors, and that was supposed to go to Denver a week before BattleBots, so it was already a bit tight on time for us. And we literally finished packing it up at 3 a.m. and found out at 6 a.m. that it was all canned. So we waited to hear what's going on with that next. So we thought
John Reed from Beta was actually John Reed works for us on and off. And he was fairly involved in this project. So he was supposed to be going with James over to Denver and then driving from Denver to LA like a week beforehand, do some skiing on the way. But obviously that's scuppered those plans.
Yeah, wow.
So we've been having a bit of a tidy up in the workshop. That's why it's all quite nice at the moment. We've got a big ping pong table that we're getting quite good at now. We're hanging robots off the wall there. That's one of the Robot Wars house robots. That's 350 kilos hanging off the wall there.
That's some pretty good screws on the wall, I guess.
Yeah, yes. We put a big beam in across the top there. And then we've got some of the other machines there from Robot Wars, just try and look after them a bit, and sicker lots over there.
That's a pretty awesome shop.
Yeah.
It's getting there. We're in the middle of a fairly big renovation at the moment up here, so yeah, that'll keep us busy. If we can come into work during any lockdown, obviously we'll be doing a lot of design work, and I think just sort of doing some general tidy up stuff and rebuilding the offices that we just don't get time to do normally. So yeah, we shall see.
So we're just working on the new CAD at the moment. Quantum. Yeah. Some more teeth.
More teeth.
4 rows of teeth. Oh boy. Take that, black.
And then the big piece, which is this big sculpture at the back there.
Wow.
That's like a protective rib cage that goes around the cylinder. And there's all sorts
that's your self-rider also, right?
Yeah.
So we've obviously last season was the first time we properly played around with generative design. Almost every part we could make was made with generative design. Now we've got sort of a bit more experience with that under our belt. We decided we'd start sort of pushing the limits of it a little bit more. And so this particular part, we're actually going to be doing that again in-house on a 3-axis mill.
Wow.
Even Autodesk aren't quite sure how it's possible to make it yet. We're not sure yet. So we need to work that one out. But this sort of project for us is more about what we can do in our skills. It's less about just going to try and win and win the giant nuts. Obviously, that's important to us. But the big thing is just try and do something pretty epic that we're proud of being able to make.
I definitely think you guys are definitely set the bar for aesthetics and functionality.
Thank
Your
you.
robot is amazing.
It was really appreciated when we won the Best Design Award last season. I mean, that really is what makes it all fulfilling for us, is that appreciation. But we get the same when we go to BattleBots. It's about get the robot out the crate, but then go and have a look at what everybody else is doing, see what you guys are bringing, and then have a look at the ways that people are coming up with solutions for similar problems, but in their own ways, in their own tools, and see some really innovative stuff. And it's inspiring for us because it makes us go, that's really cool. Let's go back and see what we can do on our machine.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this next season because there's so many new teams. So
Yeah,
I feel like we've been around for a few years and we think we know what to expect, and maybe we'll be blown away with new designs. So I'm looking forward to
the new chomp's looking quite impressive. I'm really keen to kind of see how that performs. So
I think Quantum should grow legs for next year. That's
that
should be our final thing. That's it now. We're done.
Well, if we'd have known the coronavirus was coming and we'd have a nice extra slot of build time, we would have built a walker for it. But obviously, as it was with 3 months to build, one of our big things is we don't want to just do something to look nice. It's got to be competitive and all the rest as well. We don't want a gimmick. And however awesome Mechadon was back in the days, absolutely brilliant machine, you'd never watch that on TV and think, that's going to win the tournament. So for us, if we go to design a walker, we need some proper time to think about how it's going to be genuinely competitive.
I mean, you guys really use speed to your advantage as well. So, I think having a walker, you get a weight benefit, but you typically will lose that speed that you guys rely on so much.
Yeah, I mean, for Quantum in particular, you need that sort of speed just to keep the robot interesting whilst you're watching it. Without that sort of that speed and that ruggedness and the aggression of how you drive it, you lose the machine's its character. Yeah, you lose that tenacity and that the one thing when you watch Quantum fight is it's never a robot that waits for the opponent to come to it. It just goes at it, and if that means the head comes off, well, that's just what happens. But that's the way it wins. Like, you can't win by being a defensive, slow sort of. You have to pounce on them, and that's the way. I mean, it doesn't always work. Rarely it works, but still. But if it's trying to work out how could you make that a walker and bring some performance to it, not just make a walker because it looks cool. Like Grant says, it has to perform and make people go, oh crap, I didn't think of that. And then that's the aim.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm kind of afraid to see what who Chomp gets as their first match. And they're trying to protect those legs, but it's a bit of beautiful bit of engineering. I'm afraid that production's gonna give them like a nasty horizontal spinner just to see what we can do.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that is probably quite likely.
Unfortunately, the sport's so spinner dominated because it's the best way of putting kinetic energy into your opponent, that within the rule sets of the sport, that's the most effective thing, and so you're going to be fighting a lot of them. It's not like you can get, you may get one easy fight if there is an easy opponent, but generally speaking, you turn up at BattleBots and I don't know about you guys, but every robot we fight, so you go, this could be the end of the robot now. Yeah, and
oh yeah, for sure.
And you not even think, like, we never thought about the top 16 winning the giant, not anything. It was just about who are we fighting next and how the hell are we going to beat it.
But even looking at Chomp now, with the legs, like you say, they might be quite vulnerable to certain spinners and things, but like for us, how do you even fight something like that? So they've got that big sort of cage skirt around the legs. There's loads of air in between, and they'll have I presume a giant axe on top that can just follow you around. Yeah, and it could
be a really tricky fight for us. That could, and And it's easy to be complacent and think, oh, it's a walker, or oh, it's only a low power spinner. But that's when the rails come off the wagon, and that's when you start going home early, then getting your robot smashed up. So, yeah, I think people that know us know just how much we fettle before a battle, just like with the front end, trying to perfect it, because you want to go in the arena knowing that you couldn't have done any better. And the last thing we'd be so disappointed in ourselves if we thought, it's only jump, it's only a low power spinner, yeah, we'll go for a burger and then look at the robot. It's you'd be gutted if you lost in that fashion.
Yeah, you don't want to underestimate your opponent, that's for sure. We've made that mistake before.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much, we learned that lesson the hard way when we lost to Red Devil, because we were seated really high and they were seated really low. So we were super excited about the matchup, and then we lost devastatingly. So we haven't made that mistake again.
Tough. It's the worst way to lose, isn't it? I always like fighting robots where you go, oh, jeez, we could get torn apart here. And then somehow the performances come out. Like we've been in China a couple of times, and there's this one vertical spinner, which is probably the worst spinner there. It's so badly driven. I mean, the vertical for us is always, the potential for damage is always there. But every time we have a really tough fight against it, like I don't want to fight them because it's just there's a level of expectation. There's a level. We put expectation on ourselves to go and perform more than just win. You have to perform. And the twice that we fought that thing, you're like, oh my God, just don't give it us again. That's
really why that fight, that when we got drawn against Tombstone in the last series, you thought, if you go home on this, it doesn't matter so much. If you've gone home to, at least you've gone home to a good robot. We shall see.
Actually, speaking of the Tombstone fight, you guys were holding up pretty well, but you got hit and flipped over, I think.
Yeah, well, we couldn't understand it at the time, could we? Like, we've got the armor for it here. I'll go and grab it, and it still baffles me now.
But yeah, obviously we watched loads of videos on how other people fight Tombstone, and all just spoke to a load of the other builders. Everyone, obviously, as you guys know, everyone will give you advice on how to beat each other and all the rest. And everyone said, box rush him, hit him at a certain angle, full speed, he'll flip over, and his blade will stop. You can get him. I thought, perfect. That's exactly what we'll do. That's exactly what we did, and we ended up upside down. So it was frustrating because it's like we genuinely thought we had a really good chance against him. We knew we'd probably take a load of damage, but we felt that we could have, out of a lot of the other opponents, we were much more sort of scared of Huge or you guys or whatever than we were of Tombstone. So we believe we built a pretty solid robot, and then if we let him get round the back, it's our fault, but we never expected to be upside down. So,
right. Well, then you self-righted him, and it seemed like your robot didn't even have power at that point, right? Or
so that's all we've got. It's like a scratch there, and you watch the footage back, and that stopped his bar. You go, how on earth? It didn't touch any of that. Like it looks like it should have hit something solid, but it didn't. It was that scuff there. I think his bar dug in at this point. But it's not cut into it at all, and somehow that stopped his bar and flipped us over. You see all the energy come out of his bar, so it's, and he twangs it there, but that's when he's upset, when we're sort of dead then. But yeah, I mean, we said a big thanks to Ray afterwards, because once we were upside down, they could have really gone to town and cleaved the robot up, and that would have been really messy and a lot of work. And huge respect to those guys for not laying into us like Lockwood did. Cheers, Donald. To be fair, Donald came and spoke to us afterwards, so that's so cool. But the Tombstone could have really made a mess for us.
Yeah, Ray plays a bad guy on TV, but he's actually a pretty nice guy. You guys also work, like you actually, Robo Challenge also works out of the same facility, right? So, you guys are working on Quantum at your work. So,
it's that design.
It's not like you're going to a makerspace or a friend's garage or something like that. So, it is legitimate, I think, as long as it's working.
Yeah, we're in kind of a as we run Robo Challenge, we're in quite a nice position where we can sort of make sure, as long as we get our daily work done that pays the bills, we can kind of slot the robot stuff in during the day around different things. So although our timescales are tight, we can have machines running whilst we're getting on with other work and things like that at times.
But then the work does take priority.
Yeah.
So John was here, John from Beta was here working on this kinetic sculpture with us. But then he's also working on Beta at the same time because we just don't have time to do everything. So the plan was to get that sculpture out of the way and then crack on with Quantum then. So yeah, it definitely has its perks, but we have to prioritise paying the mortgage.
Yeah, for sure. Got to pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's been good. So we've got obviously, I don't know if people know much about Robo Challenge, but we started off through watching Robot Wars when we were back in school, and actually set up a thing called RC Wars, which was remote control cars with polystyrene armor and tin can armor, and we strap in knives and drills and all sorts of things to the front at school. We go around to each other's houses and playgrounds and stuff and fight them there. And when they started getting quite dangerous, that's when my uncle gave us some money then to build a small polycarbonate arena. And then that's when we sort of started getting into building sort of proper featherweight, the 13.6 kilo, 30-pound robots. My father owns a manufacturing company, makes wheels and casters, so all the blue wheels and things you see on a lot of the robots, we used to manufacture those and things like that as well. So we've got an abundance of wheels, which is handy. So we've had access to machinery and things since we were young and able to kind of get in there since school, building robots and all these kind of things. So yeah, now we've gotten to the point now where we're sort of very heavily involved in. We've got the workshop and things in his premises. We hire half of his factory effectively for building our robots and building new offices here now. And slowly the robot side of things is kind of taking over the whole thing, which is good. So my father hopefully at some point will come and start working full time for us. Building robots.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys do some really incredible installations and artwork stuff. So I love following you guys on Instagram and seeing what you guys post.
Thank you.
It's the thing I like is it's different. Every single day you're looking at something different. You're learning new things. You've got to research. Like we did some lawnmowers for a Guy Martin show on all old English inventions. So we have to go to science museums, dig out all the original patents, work out how they were made, redesign them from that, and then try and make them as the originals were made and stuff, which is really cool. And then we do all sorts of real high-end robotics type stuff as well. So it's really nice having that kind of difference from day to day and not sort of stuck in the office doing the same thing time after time. So it's stressful, but it's enjoyable and rewarding. So.
Yeah, but
I'm getting some weird messages coming up on my phone because we're on Skype here. The other Roboteers have a group messenger, and it's just coming up about the police chasing Ellis away from the shops. I don't know what it's talking about. I think that they're commentating on what Boris Johnson's saying, and it's something to do with partial lockdown or something. So sounds exciting.
Important.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah,
like you guys are listening to that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. But
Uh-oh.
yeah,
That was my wife calling then. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's we probably best head off in a second. We've got a million people trying to phone us, and
All right,
guessing it's
sounds
family deciding what we're doing. So
All right. Well, it was great talking to you guys.
Hello.
Well, I hope that we get a chance to catch up with you in maybe a couple days.
Hello.
Whatever.
smiling.
Can you hear us? We hear you. Hello.
If you can still see us, we can't see you anymore. So we'll say goodbye.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.